Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I'm Bobby, also known as Blazing Bob, and as usual, I'm joined by the lovely Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good.
Good to hear, good to hear. And then we also have my trusty partner in raid leading in Killnine. Welcome to the show. First time.
Hey, Bob, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. And also, good morning, evening, or afternoon. We have Kaghoe coming at you with his first guest spot. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello. Thank you. That's spot on. I love it.
I love it. I love intros that people do. That's why I don't ever everybody asks why I don't pre-record the intro, because I like the little differences you get every once in a while.
Oh yeah, I do it every single time. Yep. Every video is 100% different.
Oh, it's great. All right, guys. So I'd like to start the show off by thanking our tank patrons in Croxford, Turtle Whale, and Braxton. Mentioned we stream the show live on twitch.tv/BlazinBob. It's BLAZZINBOB. If you want any of our links to the Discord, to Patreon, to anything, you can go to warcraftreloaded.com. Everything's there, and you can find us. We're going to start out the show with the comment of the week. Then we're gonna do voicemails, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about the news, and then maybe have a discussion at the end about the tier 0.5 set and everything that goes into getting that. And Kaghoe just finished the journey, so that'll be a fun time. And let's jump into the comment of the week. Mel, do you want to read the comment of the week?
Sure, as soon as I pull it up.
Okay, well, sorry.
I got it.
Okay, sweet.
All right, it's from Robert Pinder, Arc 5222. I've never been so glad to play a PvE server. I have always played PvP servers, but just got a feeling, and Agrin told us to go PvE if you want to play the game in P1.
All right, I just picked this one out because there was a lot of comments about people rolling on PvP servers and when they should roll on PvE servers. Yeah, I hope people don't realize, because I am one of the weirdos that actually enjoy the PvP servers, and I want people to play with. So, and I want bad people to play with, to kill in the open world too. So bad people make the game fun in PvP. So I don't know. But what do you guys think? You think people should complain less about the Blackrock Mountain thing and stuff because they're on a PvP server? They supposedly signed up for it.
No, I think it's stupid. I freaking hate it. I don't think that is what we signed up for when we signed up for a PvP server. Like, I think that was inevitably going to happen. Like, there was going to be a lot of fighting. Like, there always is. But, like, now you're just rewarding it so much more that people that wouldn't have been there are now there. And it's like, come on.
Any other thoughts?
I think the hour on, hour off thing is a little bit much. I kind of figured that immediately, that every hour there is a war going on and you're just never going to miss it. So, yeah, if they did it every 3 hours, every 4 hours, I think it'd be fine. But yeah, every hour is ridiculous to me.
I think with BRM, they definitely should have had the Blood Moon event changes that they did like week 1 or 2 of that. I think they should have had that in, which are in now. Yeah. But it's just like, it's like almost, do you want for fun, or do you want everyone to just camp the instance for maximum honor and stuff? Because people seem to play very like efficiently almost with all that stuff. So,
well, and I love BGs, and it keeps people out of BGs too. You know,
yeah, you definitely get more honor in BRM for sure than doing AV right now.
Well, I said I like BGs. I'm not really AV fan.
True.
That's as PvE as anything else is, right?
Right.
Yeah, especially currently. But we'll. Do I have that on the list of stuff to talk about? I don't. We could talk a little bit about AV just real quick. Kaghoe just had a recent video out on that too, about basically we're so buffed that we're able to just go down and kill the last boss. And I mean, I was thinking about it. I swear we've done that before, but maybe we had to take 2 towers at least. But I think that was like TBC. I can't remember. I feel like it started that way in Classic in the beginning, but I can't remember exactly.
I think it started that way, and they definitely nerfed it like right after. And then I think around Nax gear, we were powerful enough to ignore it again. And then, but usually you had to take the first 2 towers, and then usually some PvP happened there, and it was like 10 to 15 minute games instead of just straight 3-5 minute zergs to van.
Yeah. And then there was
I
go ahead.
I think a big problem was just having a tank that was strong enough to tank them. I mean, if you have like a raid leader-esque tank that can just run to van and be the tank, I have friends that would do that. They would just go and win the game in 4 minutes because they were, huge and had all the best gear, and all they needed was like 2 healers to keep them up barely. So, yeah, that Zerg strat definitely benefits people that know what they're doing and are good tanks.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was one of my favorite things to do in Wrath with my warrior is just Mel would follow me, or just one healer would follow me, and we just we just get ready as soon as the second tower dropped. We would just go in, and I would just tank everything, and it was easy. But it was literally just going up there, waiting, killing a few people that recalled back. It was like the most fun and engaging thing.
And I know people don't necessarily want to wait on towers to fall, but in this original iteration of AV, killing lieutenants and killing Belinda is another 300 honor apiece. You only need 1 or 2 people to kill them. Everybody else can keep zerging. I legitimately 2-manned Belinda with a shaman. Just that's an extra 400 honor because there's a lieutenant right outside. We killed him, walked in, killed her. That's 600 honor for the entire team. That if I just ran up with everybody else, we would have missed.
Yep. Well, I don't know. Would you rather have... There's a lot of people that call for the old AV, and I lived that back in the day, and I say no. But a lot of people want it.
What do they mean by that? What is the old AV as to what it is now?
Oh, like day-and-a-half long games, 2-day long games, summon everything. Like, it really... I mean, it was a slog. Like, you would go to bed, wake up, jump back in AV, and it was also when they were just server wide too. So like it wasn't cross server, but you jump back in, you're in the same BG, just moved up a little bit, or been pushed back a little bit. It was nuts.
Yeah, I'm too young for that, so I never got to experience that. But maybe it would be cool to I don't see why we couldn't have both, honestly. Like, give us the server long one that people could go fight in, and then have the quick queue for the people who want to zoom it.
Oh, interesting. I wonder how many people would... It'd be like a novelty for a week or 2, I would think. And then people would be like,
There were definitely slog games in the 2019 Classic. I remember the game I got exalted in was a 3-hour game that we ended up coming back and winning. But with Trap Launcher existing, those turtles on the bridge would be even worse. Like, no one would be able to get across from either side.
Well, we're going to talk about it in the news, but there were some changes to Trap Launcher, so...
Yeah.
But they're still able to use it, just not as grievously. All right, well, we can go ahead, and you guys want to hear the first voicemail from Ven here? Hope it's PG.
Yo, what's up, Bob? What's up, Warcraft Reloaded? Just wanted to come and drop a message for you guys. How do you guys feel about the current economy in WoW and all the gold sellers and people who like keep supporting these people who sell the gold? I know we had a good little chat about it the other night on stream, but I'd like to hear everybody else's opinion on it and see, like, how do you guys really feel about it? Because, you know, this is one of the biggest things that ruin our economy, and would love to hear everybody's opinion. Thank you.
I don't.
We don't have gold sellers because we banned GDKPs, so they don't exist anymore.
She makes jokes. I mean, people are gonna buy gold to buy their mounts. People do that. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. The economy seems like everything's cheap except for big ticket items. So I don't know if that's gonna change, but consume prices went way down with the implementation of the boxes and stuff. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Like,
prices right now seem to be pretty much exactly where I remember them being. Maybe flats are a little bit cheaper than before just because of the prevalence of Black Lotus from the boxes. But I'm perfectly happy with it right now. I think making money from doing all the dungeon spam that everybody has to do for their tier 0.5 has been relatively easy. And also this tier 0.5 quest itself is such a money sink for a lot of people that it's people aren't as super rich as they were before unless they did a lot of farming in P3.
Yeah, and I should also say he didn't say it in this. What what he brought up on stream the other night was he had noticed that since Phase 4 launched, the price of gold had skyrocketed. So he thinks that means that demand is up and people are buying a lot of gold right now. But it's, you know, it's a guess, right? Like, it's speculation. I don't know. I don't check the gold sites often enough to know the prices and how they've fluctuated. Although probably should have kept like a spreadsheet of that over the classic life. It would be a fun thing to look at now.
So because I do a lot of gold farming videos, I do look at that price just to get a like general sense, because I don't want to tell people, hey, go get 100 gold per hour when you could just swipe your credit card for $5. Obviously, I wouldn't encourage people to do that, but I know classic players think that way. It's like, oh, I'm out here farming gold for an hour and I'm I'm making $5 an hour or not. What I heard last is it's like around 30 to 40 gold or dollars for 1,000 gold right now on SoD servers, which is crazy higher because in Phase 3 with incursions, it was down to about that $5 mark per 1,000. So
wow.
I never really understand exactly where it goes, but I do know that the devs have taken probably the most extreme measures against gold buying. They have the new accounts have to wait a month before they can trade with other accounts, as well as that's sort of Blizzard's ban window for banning people. So they do it in waves to really get the tech down. So I think those two things are working very well. And then obviously GDKP being banned because that is the biggest way that people launder all the illicit gold.
Yeah, and people are incentivized with GDKPs to buy way more gold, I think, than they would ever buy normally. I don't particularly like that they banned GDKPs just because the population dropped tremendously, and I feel like that was a big part of it. But at the same time, I've never run GDKPs in SoD, so it never really affected me.
Yeah, I feel like SoD's the place to try banning it. If you're going to ban it, try it here. And I think it overall has been great for the health of the game. I think now in Phase 4, with all the things they've added, like the crates, just anything, like it feels like you can straight up just do anything and make gold, whether you're helping friends do dungeons, you're just out in the world. Like they've done so many things to really eliminate the need to buy gold or the want to it. It's just like, go play the game, get your tier sets. I think I spent about 500 gold in the tier 0.5 questline total with just buying the mats and stuff. And I think by the end of it, I made more than that just by doing all the dungeons I had to do to get the gear.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you on those points. The only reason I didn't like it is just because it brought I felt like it brought the population as a whole down. But I do agree that those are definitely the pros. I just don't know if I value those pros more than I value a lot of people playing. Just not sure.
True. And also the people that are playing and care and like quit because of that, I feel like those could be the people that really just raid logged and bought gold anyway. So you're not really losing
That is true.
Quality players, I suppose, that you're interacting with.
Yeah, and they're on, or they raid log on 1 billion characters, but they still are just raid logging.
Yeah, I really wish we had like formal numbers to do it, because we really only have Ironforge Pro and raid numbers. And phase 1, like you could literally make a new character, level them 25, and do BFD that night if you really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do have sod.aotc.gg, but that uses the add-on that just /who's all the time while you're running around and takes, like current names, but it'll say like supposedly on Crusader Strike US, there were active in the last 7 days, unique names, there were 43,500 people active, or different characters active during that time. But I bet every single person has a bank alt that doubles that number. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I was gonna ask what it counts as active, I suppose, because like I log into 9 characters a week just to craft some Mooncloth.
Yep, and so that's the problem with that number. But then you have the Ironforge.pro, and that's only if they raid. So yeah, we don't really. I would love them to actually just tell us everything. That would be wonderful. Mel or Kill, you got anything?
I think if they gave the true numbers, it would discourage people from making a character on the non-prevalent side, quote unquote. And I think that is probably a scary side effect for them. A scary side effect for me, even if you're 45%, 55%, well, everybody coming to the server is like, well, I'd rather be on the 55% server. And then suddenly that number gets way more skewed. So having a little obfuscation there, I think, is kind of important. It's probably why they've kept it obfuscated up till now. And people are just trying to find ways around it the best they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. All right, well, I don't know. The gold buying thing, I have no idea. And everybody says Blizzard could do it easy. None of us really know. I mean, we don't know.
I think we haven't seen, we're early in the phase right now where everyone's just running around doing their tier 0.5. What we haven't gotten to yet is where people are truly raid logging, because, another phase of Catacombs out. So they're only on SoD, a couple times a week just for raid. That's when people are going to start buying gold to buy their consumes for the week and this, that, and the other, because they're not actually running around and farming anymore like they are right now. And that's also when the demand goes up. Like, we don't know what we're going to need for Molten Core. We don't know how often we're expecting to wipe. We don't know how many fire protection potions are actually going to be necessary for which bosses. All of that stuff is going to come into play very quickly, especially as people start doing those higher level, what was it, flames or whatever? What is it called? Heat levels, yeah. So as people start pushing that content, we really understand what is going to go into that money-wise. That's when we're going to see if it's going to start skyrocketing prices, and therefore people needing or feeling the need to buy gold.
Just don't buy gold, guys. It's just not worth it. And I know I say that from a very privileged spot where I play every day, most of the day.
Yeah.
So it's a little unfair for me to. I don't judge anybody. I've said that many times. I don't judge anybody that buys gold, and I don't judge anybody for anything. That's not my right?
I would much rather just sit there and farm my own fire water or what have you for a couple hours and just be done with that for a couple weeks than.
And that drops like you wouldn't believe now. I freaking did my quests and I got done. I was like, I got 20 fire waters. I wasn't there that long. Like that, the drop rates are way higher, it feels, on a lot of stuff like that.
I feel like some people just don't have the time, right? And if they want to play and they want to be able to, buy, consumes, and play with the limited amount of time that they have. I think for them, it's more like I either buy gold or I don't play the game. And I'm not condoning buying gold. I'm just saying I think there's people in that situation where they want to play the game and they don't have time to farm. They have a family, they have a job or something, and
20 kids, work 4 jobs.
I don't think you can do much if you have 20 kids. I don't think they're on SoD.
When
you get all your kids to play SoD for you.
It's true.
That's when you start your
You're
own little
farmers,
gold farm.
actually.
Oh, that's good. All right, well, let's go to the next voicemail.
Hey, Bob, Mel, and whoever the hell else you have there. Well, as of yesterday, Blizzard announced that we could all spend the new Undermine Real currency on our 0.5 tier gear, and I think that's a great idea. It encourages people to go back to the dungeons, and it also encourages a little bit of dry protection, because nobody likes going, 25 times dry for their headpiece. So that's just the sort of thing that I like for SOD. And in the spirit of that, I just want you all to pretend like it's Thanksgiving and say there's one small thing that you're thankful for SOD, because this is just supposed to be a giant experiment in the first place anyway. And hopefully there's some positivity that we can all bring to it. So I'll go first, and mine's real simple, but as a Ret Paladin, I am extremely thankful for Crusader Strike and just being relevant at all through every phase. And I'm real happy about that. So there you go. Shout out to Exploratory on Wild Growth NA, and thanks a lot. Bye.
All right, so yeah, I mean, Kaghoe was I believe the first one to bring this up to Agrad on Twitter, suggesting that you could buy possibly your gear, because it is a kind of a huge bitch when you're just 1 or 2 items short. But I don't think it's a lot of people have said that they think it's too much, like, Wrath and stuff like that, but I don't think it's like that at all, because Wrath, you could spam the same dungeon over and over, and like these dungeons are longer, and you can't just spam one over and over again. You have to do different dungeons. You have to do all the different dungeons each day if you want the max, and like 50 reals is a lot, and that's what the big items cost. And then, I mean, I don't see it as a bad thing at all. I see it as still a lot of work. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely a good thing, because as somebody who was chasing his shoulders in LBRS and literally running for probably 6 hours on whatever day that was, never even seeing it. I'm not even getting the reals at that point if you're just chasing the one piece. So being able to kill 50 bosses for one piece of item is, I think, a reasonable give and take, right? It's not overly easy, it's not overly difficult either, but it also encourages you to do things like help out your guildmates. Like, hey, I really need Sholo for this part of the tier 0.5 or whatever. Oh, I haven't done Sholo today. I could use a real, so at least I'm still working towards something, instead of me like, well, that's not where my piece drops, so too bad, I'm not going to help you, kind of thing. So it really helps encourage helping people out in all the different places that you need to go with all this stuff that's going on.
I absolutely agree. I think, obviously, I tweeted at them for the change.
It was your idea
later that day, but I think it was one of the best things they've ever done for SoD. I think it allows so much player behavior to go out there and do things. It's like, oh, I want to take a break. We literally act like that was a true story. We ran Upper Blackrock Spire 23 times that day. Like just 12-hour nonstop grind trying to get our shaman his shoulders and chest piece, and neither dropped the entire day. So like it was just like pure torture, and I had to be there because I was the only one with the key at that point. And then like just getting a whole guild to do that. And well, obviously everyone wanted their chess piece and stuff. It was, we got a lot of those out of the way, but it's just such a great option for people. And the moment that change was announced, we stopped doing Ubers, and some of them went and did that world tour where you go and do every single boss. It took them like 5 or 6 hours. So that amount of time just to target farm one piece of gear, I think that is such a good change and healthy for SoD as a whole.
Especially because the tier 5 quest line is piece by piece. So like maybe somebody got lucky and they got their chest and their head first, but they're missing their boots. And the boots is like the second or third part. You can't even move on until you get it, right? So you're like trying to target farm this one piece. It's like not even truly the piece you really need because you really want your chest and your head upgrade. It was just a nightmare for a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah, I got incredibly lucky on my mage. I got every single piece on the first or second kill except for the helm. The helm I took 12 Skull runs to get, but we finally got it.
Right. Then we have people like Lubes, who we all know Lubes' luck. He had his full set in like 2 days or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Luck plays such a big part. I mean, but that's kind of what we like. But I think the pricing is fine because, yeah, you still gotta kill a lot of dungeons, and man, people have forgotten, because it's SoD, about Skolo and Stratholme, and they've forgotten about wall pulling, and so there are wipes because tank just runs in, sand. The sand trinkets pull everything, right and left. And then sometimes you live through it, sometimes you don't. It's exciting, but, walking back takes a long time.
My Starfall has never accidentally overpulled. I don't know what you're talking about.
We do Skolo speed runs where we have them put on their sandstorm trinket, and when you're in the final part of the last boss, it'll pull the room below you. So it pulls it through there, and you can double it up for fun.
Whoa.
It wiped us a few times, but now we've
Yes.
fully embraced it.
That has absolutely happened to us, and we weren't sure what was happening until somebody figured out it was Sandstorm. But yeah.
Yeah, Torns with Sandstorm Trinket, they're wonderful.
Oh yeah, because the bigger hitbox.
It's massive. Like it procs and it'll pull the bottom floor or top. Like it'll pull above or below, whatever way you go.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I hope they fix it soon. They certainly are aware of it, but.
Well, you guys could write in and tell us what you think. I don't see a problem with this change at all, and with the 0.5 quest line and Onyxia attunement and all these things. I mean, there's a lot going on. So yeah, so I think
we need to say something we're thankful for. That was the other part of
yep. Who wants to go first?
I can go first, I suppose. I am incredibly thankful for SoD because it pretty much made WoW almost a career for me. Before, I was just sort of casually doing it and creating a little videos since Classic 2019, and SoD completely blew up my channel. And I'm forever grateful for that, as well as I think it's the precursor to, if we're ever going to get a Classic Plus, SoD is the testing ground to see what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I hope we get Classic Plus in a few years or something, maybe next season. I don't know their timeline, but I think SoD's definitely the precursor to that.
Yep. And to let you know, I've been watching you since your videos got like 100 views. So I've been here a long time. If you check whenever Blazing Bob subbed to you, I'm probably one of the first.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So what I'm thankful for, God, the list goes on and on. Like I really love SoD. SoD's kind of broken me. People call it retail minus, and if that's the case, I say, hell yeah, we got rid of the stuff I didn't like and put in stuff I do like, Like everything in retail, I've said it many times, is not inherently bad because it's retail. Not bad, I shouldn't say. Inherently to my dislike because I'm not a fan of retail. So, but these like new moves and stuff, those I've liked a lot of those. I'm not really fond of the warrior hook thing. I don't like anything that moves characters, but yeah. What am I thankful for the most? I don't know. Just people coming back, really. I mean, I was really scared that people weren't going to come back, and we've had a ton of people come back. So that's what I'm thankful for.
I think I'm probably most thankful for how they've handled giving basically every class and spec some level of viability. There's not really much that I can think of that is just like, oh, that's dog shit if you play that, like you're wrong kind of thing. Like maybe like for warlocks, for instance, because they're solely a damage class, like one spec's better than the other, but even that feels situational sometimes. I think they've done a pretty good job of like just all around balance. Just that like if you play something, you can play it. Like it's fine. Like no one's gonna be like, oh, don't bring that fucking hunter. Hunters are so bad right now, or what have you. Like I just really don't feel that at all. Like every single type of tank that I've had in a dungeon has always felt fine. You know, there's not like a single type of DPS that I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna be carrying this guy. I think that is the biggest thing. And obviously I'm playing Boomkin, which in otherwise classic was completely irrelevant. You know, you're instantly.
I was
and
just about to say that this makes total sense coming from a boomy.
Yeah, I mean, so I was a career rogue up until this point. I've just kind of always romanticized playing Boomkin, and like once I was actually playing Feral in Phase 1. Once I saw Boomkin's viability, I was like, oh, this is like my actual chance. Like, so that's what I've been doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I was a rogue player, and then I played Feral. I was like, oh, I'm going to change things up, and then play a cat instead of rogue. So
Fun.
Mel, what about you?
I think I'm most thankful for all the attention that the team has given SoD. I think that they haven't been afraid to make big moves and haven't been afraid to retract them or change them or modify them. And I think that that's been really cool. I feel like in other phases of the game, I feel like we've asked for things for a long time before somebody actually, you know, attends to it or makes a change to it, or they've been very quick to change things up. And sure, we don't like all of the changes, but I think overall they've made some great steps, and they're not scared to try things. And I think the seasonal server has allowed them to do that, right? Like, if you don't like it, it's fine. It's seasonal. Like, we'll figure it out later, right? But they're not afraid to say they were wrong, too, if they put something in and it didn't work.
yeah, they're definitely daring to try, and I think a lot of people will agree that the incursions last phase were a bad idea, at least in the way that they were originally implemented. But at least they tried something different, right? Unless you know that otherwise we would have just been running the same quests that all of us have run millions of times and that type of thing. So
And I feel like they're learning from everything they do put in, like what works, what doesn't work. And sure, they're going to put in things that don't work still, but I think it is kind of like you were saying earlier, that it is kind of their testing ground for a Classic Plus. And I think we're never going to get what we want unless they test things out and see how we respond.
You're gonna make Josh Corbett mauled. He's always like, this is Classic Plus. I mean, if you think about it, it really is. We plussed things, we added things. It's Classic Plus. It may not be the Classic Plus you imagined, but it is a testing ground. But at the same time, they're working. They didn't just throw it out there and just let things fly. You know, that was what they did to us in 2019. Like, we didn't get devs talking to us until AQ times. You know, it was radio silence for the most part on almost every turn until, you know, AQ, and they started talking. So I don't know. They're working on it hard, and they're finding out what works. They're throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks and seeing what people use. And I think it's a really good thing.
I think what's shying a lot of people away from considering it a Classic Plus is the fact that it's a season, and it does, you know, therefore kind of have an end date. I think what a lot of people wanted from Classic Plus is almost like a separate timeline type of situation where things were slightly different, treated a little bit better, but not necessarily going directly into TBC and going into Wrath of the Lich King, but like a branch out rather than this is some stuff we're trying and we're going to see it works. And, in 2 years, it's going to be over and hopefully we've learned a bunch. I think that's why a lot of people aren't like, this is Classic Plus, because that's what in their mind was Classic Plus.
See, and there's been a ton of people that make that argument about wanting just another, a new instance past next. Now, what people I think really don't think about is, how do you do that? Like, you want better gear, right? Well, many things are percent based, dodge, hit rating, yada, 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 and how do you keep giving more of those, like, something I thought of maybe was, the next raid tiers are 4 levels higher than you instead of 3, which changes a whole bunch of stuff. And then you'd need a lot more hit. You'd need a lot more of all of those things. So then you could justify giving bigger, like giving better gear. But then the open world just turns into like, you're a god at that point. And that's what people don't like about retail a lot of the times, is that you're a god. And so I don't know how they do that without just being like, well, you're just going to get side grades. I don't know. Anybody, any thoughts on that? Because
I think they did a good job with SoD, honestly, with that. If we look at BFD gear, like some of that was like just below MC level 60 gear, and some pieces arguably like even better than that. And I think they did a good job of giving those to us. If you look at scaling, like phase 1 to phase 2, the world scaling that they had was crazy. And they scaled up a ton of the mobs with it. And then we also see from 2 to 3, they did it. Phase 4, I don't think they did too much scaling, because I guess we'd be way, way, way too powerful. But just all in all, with those scaling tech that they've done, I think they've done a good job of that right now.
Well, and when we talked, I don't know if they stayed with this philosophy, but when we talked to Agrend and Tim at BlizzCon, they emphasized that they brought, when the first buff of the world for phase 1, at least, I don't know if they stuck with this, was we're just going to buff the damage of mobs, but not really the health. Because we don't want you to feel like you just have to sit there and hit the mob forever, but we want danger if you pull too much, And I thought that was a cool way to buff the world, rather than just give them 100% life and damage, So I thought that was kind of neat, but I don't know that they stuck with that, because I haven't gotten to do an interview since phase 1. Blizzard.
The only mobs I know for sure got like juiced up were STV mobs. Like all the animals in those kill quests are just way higher than what they were in Classic. I didn't really look too much into phase 2 to 3 with the scaling, but I know for a fact phase 1 to 2 was like that.
Well, I mean, I think it's definitely good that they do that. I did find it really weird. So I tried to tank on my rogue in Strathholm with like 325 defense or 330 or something like that. I thought it would be fine for Strathholm, but I got just chomped with like, and I got told by Ven, he's like, well, I have 400 defense on my tanking set, so pretty sure you need that. But I don't feel like I'm my warrior. I feel like I did fine tanking in 2019 Classic without that defense. So maybe that has to do with the buff too. Maybe like if they did a buff, I don't know.
I know they did a lot for at least warlocks and shaman tanks to make defense like a must-have stat. Like you just stack it and it gives you spell power and stuff. I'm not too sure about rogue tanking.
Attack power.
Yeah, I don't know about rogue tanking too much. So,
well, I just don't get it. Like I was just getting chunked, but I don't know. I guess you just actually do need more, because what do you need? What did you need in 2019? Was it 420 to be uncrushable and uncritable?
Yeah, that sounds right.
And warriors are uncrushable just with shield block, or uncritable. one of them gets negated by shield block. I can't remember which one. If my tank buddy Corpse was here, you can tell me in a second. But
It's uncrittable with shield block. I think they can still be crushable, right?
it might be that. I don't remember. If someone in chat, maybe Shaka knows. I'm not sure, but yeah, I was just interesting. You guys should write in the comments like what you're using for tanking and just like what a good benchmark is to hit those. Because I mean, Stratholme and Skolo were always some of the hardest dungeons. I mean, so I was just curious, but I remember taking them on my DPS warrior in DPS spec, like in Fury spec, by just putting a shield on and no defensive gear. And so I don't get, and even doing Ubers too, so I don't get why I got
you cannot
beat up so bad.
You cannot underestimate those mobs in live, like accidentally pulling through walls and stuff and getting 2 packs or 3 packs instead of 1 will kill you, especially some of those battle mages or whatever they are. They can mess you up.
Yeah, I was just curious if you guys had any knowledge on that. All right. I'm the only one. We don't have any tanks here. It's okay.
I'm not playing
I'm only druid tank, so I just put on survival of the fittest and I'm fine.
He's got so much health.
I've tanked Nomar as a Boomy before, but you know.
All right. Well, Kev.
With Spirit of the Alpha, anybody can tank.
There you go.
I was reading what Kev wrote in chat. All right. Well, let's listen to the last voicemail. And this one, it was the one that he left like 5 voicemails. It was like a whole story, but it looks like this last one has a question. I'll listen to the other later.
Hello, it's Mega.
It's Mega Man. All right, Mega, I'm sorry. I'm only playing this one on the show, but I will listen to the rest of your update after, this show.
Where have I been? Real life sucks. And before WoW. Anyway, my question pretty much has to do with SoD and the catch-up mechanisms and recruiting alts, or catching alts up, rather. I think that Blizzard has done an okay job, aside from rating being too hard, phase 2 onward. You can't catch up alts because they assume, well, yeah, people are still going to run past content. Well, and that's classic design. But I don't think that they need to design SoD like classic. In fact, I think that's what's hurt it. How do I know that? Well, hey, they gave it experience buff, but who cares, right? If you still have to go back and do all the older rune content. Ask someone to do Dark Riders with you at this point. Not happening, most likely. In fact, I would even say most players, even if they hear it, they would hate it, but if they got it, they'd like it. Picture this, right? The experience buff is only 100%, but you get your runes, phases 1 to 3, just on you. You make a new character, you have all your rune abilities. I think that would save you so much more time than the 50% experience buff. And it would help you find groups faster and get into guilds a lot easier. And for those people that say, oh, but I had to get people to help me with that. You had people in phase 1 to get Divine Storm. You had people in phase 2 to get your Dark Rider Rune done. You don't have those people now to get that older content. It's dried up. The same thing with the level ratings. Ask someone to do Nomar with you when you're level 40 now. Good luck with that. Anyway. Also, only WoW players. I know about the changes on Era. I don't play Era, and I don't know if you're going to cover this in news. Yeah, they did changes. I still say because, well, yeah, SoD and Era and all that are on the same UI or same server, like whatever. That's why changes happen. But anyway, apparently not everybody wanted it reverted. And there's even arguments where, well, those petitions were mainly Horde players. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't play. But to a point where I guess one person made a GoFundMe, kid you not, this is not a troll, I promise, to where he's willing to pay a pilot in California, in where Blizzard headquarters is, to hang a banner from a plane saying, bring back Might of Stormwind, or something to that effect. Wouldn't have believed this if I didn't see the GoFundMe page. I just thought that was funny, and your thoughts on that. Anyway, this is the Mega Casual. Hope you guys have a good show. signing out.
Okay, so catch-up mechanics. I don't know if you've been listening to the show, Mega Man, but that was my idea last week, and everybody hated it. I've been talking about catch-up mechanics with so many different people. Scotty J brought it up first, freaking back in phase 1, actually going into phase 2. But I'm at the point now that I've just said, all phase 3. If you log in and you just have all of the rune abilities, and you just have to get the phase 4 ones, because you're gonna be like, go to this vendor to buy your runes, go to this vendor to buy this, just give it to everybody, the new players, whatever. That's how I feel about that, as far as getting people to come back new. But everybody seems to hate that idea.
What I think they should do is any rep required ones should be by an account. So say you did the Emerald Wardens or you did the Dorito Supply Company on one of your characters, having to grind that again is a nightmare. Just being able to send that to whatever alt, I think would fix that problem right there. The ones that are kind of across the board, like you mentioned, Dark Riders, I think maybe opening up a vendor that once you've done that on one character, it's also a similar bind on account type rune that you can send. However, there are certain runes that are basically flavor for your class to go do, like for instance, the rogue, to get in Venom and to get Shadow Step, like you got to do sneaky missions and kind of cool stuff that's a part of like your class identity. I think taking that away from people that are leveling alts is a bad idea, and super streamlining it for the sake of streamlining it versus season of discovery. You're playing a new class, discover some cool shit that your class can do. There's definitely like both sides of the coin that I see, but
see now,
BOA runes I think would win.
Just to put it, he's not talking about alts. He's talking about someone who hasn't played since phase 1 coming back, or a brand new player, and those catch-up mechanics do nothing for a brand new player.
That is totally fair.
So I see he's coming back after taking like a break from it. So he's asking for people, like the alts thing. I think you're right. I think it's definitely like those should be things that are in the game too. But at the end of the day, a new player coming back, it's a pretty daunting task to go back and get all the old runes. But what do you think, Kaghoe?
A little biased here because I've made every single class in the game and nearly gotten every single rune. So I stopped at like phase 2 because it was just too much to grind everyone to 40. I did it before the XP buff, so I was really burnt after that.
I bet.
But I truly enjoyed, like, I had never played a rogue in Classic WoW. Shockingly, I had never played druid, actually. I only played at TBC onward. And so it gave me chances to play these classes and experiences and fall in love with the class fantasies of things that I wouldn't play. And even now, like I'm considering like leveling a warrior, for instance, because I had a lot of fun just leveling it to 41. I pretty much let them all to 41 to die, and they're just going to sit in Ashenvale and be my Mooncloth makers. But the Druid and Mage I've carried on to 60, and a lot of those runes are really fun to go and get, and they don't take that long. But like you said, with the epic runes like Dark Riders, the ones that are like this big one that you're supposed to get a bunch of people to go, they should be account bound. But also, I'm pretty sure at 60 you can go solo Dark Riders. I know people were doing it at 50. It was quite difficult at 50, but I think 60 it's really easy to go do. So it's not that large of a commitment to do it, and you only have to do it once, and it can be content that you can just go do. And I think it's a great way to play the game outside of raiding, where you might just raid log or something. You can go get your runes. And I personally went and got all the runes, but I know a lot of people also just target farm the runes that they need for their spec that they want to play. So that's also a thing, and that's like not too many runes to go and get. It's like one on each slot for the most part.
Okay. You got anything to add, Mel?
No, I feel like we've talked about this a lot.
We have, I know. But, yeah. But we'll just go ahead and move on. All right. So, what's everybody been doing? Just a little bit of what you've been doing this week in WoW Classic. Who wants to go first? All right, I'll go first. We ran the world bosses. We've been just running dungeons. Started our 0.5 quest last night. Still haven't got to do any AV. I'm definitely having FOMO issues pretty bad. Just I'll sit there trying to decide what I want to do. There's so many different options to progress my characters. Like, do I go try to find Rexar right now? Or do I just go to this Ubers that's about to start up? Or do I go over here and do this? Should I go do my Molten Core one right now? I'm just like, there's so many things that I end up sitting there for like 20, 30 minutes before I actually decide to do anything. And yeah, that's where I'm at, but I'm having a good time. I just can never decide what exactly to do at what time. And I don't know what to prioritize and what not to. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing, basically stressing.
Yeah, I definitely agree that because you have so much to do between, Uber's attunement, Ani attunement, MC attunement, the 0.5 quest line, which obviously it's its own entire can of worms, and everybody seems to be on a different portion of it at any given time. Whenever you do decide to all right, I'm going to go do this, then a group is now forming for the thing you actually wanted to do. You're like, God damn it. That always seems to happen. Oh no, of course, now that I'm in Dustwallow Marsh, there's an Ubers group forming, but I already made it all the way out here, so I might as well do this. That is constantly happening. But the world bosses being twice a weekend, as easy as they are, I think is a nice little break from going and testing out your damage from just dungeon grinding and stuff too. I know a lot of people were talking some shit about druid boomy damage in guild chat the other day, and then I was number 2 or 3 on the damage meter on Kazakh, so I plan on going in there with full world buffs and stuff today just to really see how much I can do. But yeah, I mean the 0.5 quest line is basically eating, I think, most people's time, because there's a few of those choke points like the blood kelp that really just sucks, and you just gotta grind it and you gotta fight other people.
We did the freaking start of the quest line last night, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do the first part, get our bracers, and we'll get the belt and the gloves. We could do probably an hour and a half. Hour and a half later, we're still in Silithus, and I've got my full 15 drops, and Mel's. Well, yeah, we started out going to the bottom, towards the south area, because I had to get a few rune books, and freaking the spiders down there, we looked it up, have way less of a drop, and then the big spiders towards the north area had a 4% drop supposedly. I mean, Wowhead drop rate is, you can't really super trust it, but they had the highest one. So we went there, did get more drops, but I mean, it was still we'd kill 5 and then get a drop, for 1. And it was, the drop rate was atrocious for that one. So we were like, well, I guess we'll do the other ones tomorrow. It was just crap.
That stuff comes back to being on a PvP server as well. So you guys were together, and you guys were somewhat safe. I could just get rolled over by an alley group that's doing the quest at any given time and not even see them coming, right? It's it's classic WoW, so I'm running all the way back from Cenarian Hold, and it's a 4-minute walk every single time, and hopefully I don't see them the next time.
But it played to my advantage being on a PvP server, because we got back from a party we had gone to with some friends, and Mel was like, I don't want to play tonight. Let's just watch some shows. I was like, Mel, but it's the best time. Nobody's going to be there. We can, have the place to ourselves. We won't have to deal with as much PvP. And that worked out and talking her into it. So it actually played to my advantage, but I could see how it would make some other classes, especially warriors. I don't know about now, but all I know is I feel extremely comfortable on my rogue hunter running around the open world PvP wise. I feel like I am a scared little rabbit running around as a warrior in the open world. So, yeah, I can see how different classes.
I find as a boomy, I can usually 1v1, or at least if I die, they're gonna die to my dots right after. So we're both running back at the very least.
Yeah, last night was one of the coolest things. I forget where we were at, but this alliance group attacked me. Mel wasn't there, and I was like, "Hey, I need help, alliance." There were 3 of them: Chamois, druid, and warrior. And I killed all 3 of them with my freaking rogue in PvE spec. So I was just like, Mel got there and I was like, oh, it's all right. Let's kill them all. Now let's get the fuck out of here before they res. It's like, oh, it was great though. Like I can, on my hunter, I do that crap all of the time. Like kill 2 or 3 people at once. But on my rogue, I didn't feel like I ever had the power to do that. But man, I just destroyed them.
Or backstab right now?
PvE mute was what I was running. Like I had some different runes kind of on just in the open world, a little more stuns, than you would have on the PvE build.
Yeah.
As far as runes, that's why I like the rune system. You can kind of tweak a little bit, but yeah, it was great. I bet they felt like little idiots too.
If a rogue catches me out of Boomkin form with that backstab spec that they're running right now, like 40 energy backstabs or whatever, I am
30.
dead before 30. Yeah, like I am dead before I'm out of cheap shot. It's ridiculous. So,
oh man, yeah, I'm just freaking my hunter. I was also leveling him level 55. I come walking into Winter Spring. There's a mage and a druid farming those 3 guys that just the Winterfall walkers or whatever, 3 guys that just spawn over and over again, and you just kill them right there. It's a great farm. Mel and I did it back in 2019, but I just walked out. I was just doing my quests, and this mage just kills. Like I was down to a 3rd health by the time I got through because I was still hostile with him. Mage freaking killed me, and I was like, man, that was rude. So I walked all the way back. It's the longest walk forever. Went and did my quest, and then I was supposed to I was supposed to die, and Rested XP told me just to spirit res back there, at the town instead. So I was like, well, if I'm going to die anyway, let's go see if I can kill this mage first. So I run in. They had both just eaten to full health. Freaking killed the mage, and they were both level 60. Killed the mage with the hunter, level 55, and then got the druid to half health, and he got me. But then I saw someone come through the tunnel and finish him off, and I was like, that's what you get for picking on the little guy. I felt so good. I was like, I had to die anyway. Oh, it was great. God. Well, what have you been up to, Kaghoe? I mean, you've been doing all kinds of stuff.
So pretty much since launch, I've just been nonstop going at it, trying to cover every aspect of the end game, whether it's the 0.5 quest, which I got incredibly blessed with by getting all my pieces so fast. So that was easier because I was like race car, and so I was ahead of everyone. I didn't have to struggle to get the ectoplasm like a lot of people are finding to be. I definitely get warriors complaining about that quest and just trying to do that as a warrior. It's like the top person commenting on that. And just really, so at the end of phase 3, or during phase 3, I suppose, my guild fell apart that I'd been raiding with since 2019 Classic. So I started the SoD Saviors because tons of guilds were dying. I thought it was a good name. We can save SoD together. And so I just tried to, I've been working at recruiting, making a good roster, and just planning for these world bosses and the raids coming up. We one-shot Azurgos and Kha'Zix, so that was that felt awesome to sort of get that roster together, bring everyone together, prepare as much as I did, and have everyone just show up and get it done, and that was really rewarding. But yeah, just pretty much playing WoW nonstop, eat, sleep, WoW. That's all I've been doing.
That's nice. Mel, anything else to add besides?
I mean, just what we did together. It's been a busy week for me. So, I hit 60.
Mel borrowed money too. Don't forget about that part of your week.
I don't see it as borrowed, but sure. I received money from Bob
800 gold, and now Bob's broke.
for my mount. He goes, okay, let's go get our mounts. How much gold do you have? And I go, not enough. And he goes, just tell me, how much gold do you have? How much do you need? And I go, I have 42 gold. And he goes, are you serious right now? I was like,
Ooh.
She's a hoarder, though. She went and put all of her stuff after we bought the mounts. She went and put all of her stuff on the auction house. It was like 500 gold worth of crap, which I haven't seen any of yet.
Oh.
I told her she has to pay at least half back because I need my mount for my other for my hunter when he gets to 60. But yeah, we got
any. You go. Sorry.
Oh no, go.
I was gonna say, if you have any characters that are like 41, I'm telling you, level tailoring, just park them at the Moonwell. It takes 2 hours, about 200 gold, and you will print Mooncloth, and it's selling for 50 gold a pop. Like it's.
I do have a tailor, but I don't do that.
It is 2 hour time investment, greatest like income of your life. It's like 6 gold for 2 fell cloths. You can proc 5 Mooncloths, so it's just bam to 250 gold, just like that.
Yeah, and if you guys don't watch Kaghoe's videos, you really should, because he was able. Didn't you find out that you have to be 300 to proc multiples?
Yeah, so I tested it. Like I tested at 250, 260, 270, 280, 290, and 300 to get that down, and it only procced at 300, and you do not need to be 60 for it. So
I have not been procking my cured rugged hides because I'm not 300 yet. Good to know.
Yeah, that's super
I just
expensive.
thought I've been unlucky. I just
Yeah, they all have leatherworking for that as well, but leatherworking
I have
is
enough leather to
crazy.
do it. I just didn't do it yet, so
Yeah,
I just need to, I guess, do that next time I get on.
Definitely do that.
I'm at like 285 or something, so I feel like maybe it might be worth it to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, I'm at like 392 or something, and I have plenty of rugged hide just from skinning every dungeon that I do, so
292.
Shouldn't be that bad.
Right, 292, not 392.
Yeah, 292. Yes, correct.
Yeah, rugged on Crusader Strike is like 12 gold a stack, because I think everyone dropped skinning because they were like, I need my double profession min maxi raid. There's just no skinners getting rugged hide.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my hunter is, and I've been making some good money leveling up. Yeah, my hunter's a miner and a skinner because he's my alt. Like,
pure money making while leveling. Might as well.
Yep, and then great for farming afterwards too. I mean, it's just awesome. But yeah, if you guys don't like, you should really actually like Kaghoe is one of the people I would say actually hit the bell, because he gets the info to you quick and it's nice. So definitely do it.
I'll throw you a sub right now, sir.
Thank you. My goal is to hopefully answer anyone's question for WoW at some point. You know, I heard Noble say his long-term goal one time was to tell every story. So mine is to hopefully be able to answer every question in a way that helps people out.
And that's the entire point of your channel.
Yes, sir.
I tell you, I watch everything you put out.
I appreciate it a lot.
Or I at least listen. Like lots of times I'm, doing stuff around the house and stuff, and I've got it on.
Most of the time, the visual, you don't really need it too much unless it's like the 0.5 quest where we're actually getting in there and showing you the nitty gritty.
All right. Well, Mel, anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. I haven't gotten to play much. I need to level my tailoring. It was kind of like, there's just a lot to do. So it's like, what do you do first? And I feel like I usually play, like, if I didn't work during the day, like when I play with Bobby, and he definitely doesn't want to sit there and wait for me to level my tailoring. So
just have him do it
blame
for you.
him. Yeah, right.
See, I try to do that type of stuff when I'm queuing for like AV or something like that. I actually found Rexar in between AV queues because I just barely flew to Desolus and was able to run around enough and find him before my AV queue popped. Like that, I've been doing that kind of stuff.
Nice.
I find it funny because I'll be like cooking dinner or something, and I'll be in my head like, okay, what is the optimal route for me to take when I get back? Like, all right, I need to go to Dustwall March for this thing. I need to do this dungeon, but can I wait to do that dungeon until I do this part of the 0.5 quest? Because like I might get, I might be able to double up on it. I'm trying to do like little optimizations in my head at any given time, but sometimes it's just like, oh, my guild's doing this and I sort of need it, so I might as well do something with the guild too.
Yeah, biggest one of the biggest things I had my guild do is for Tusk the Skulls, the Oni attune on Horde. At least after you kill that third dragon, you have to go to wetlands, and you're already in Dustwell. So I said, "Screw it, we're raiding Theramore. And we're taking that boat over there."
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I was like, "We're going for optimization." We had none of them came to Theramore, but when we got off the boat at Minithel, there was a party there for us.
Oh shit!
There you go.
That's awesome. All right, well, let's move on to time for the news. All right, so I just threw this in: how to get your Onyxia attunement, and I was reminded this by Black Reaper, a guildie. He's been on the show before too. Real simple answer is you can look up guides, you could do all that kind of stuff. But if you just get the add-on Attune, Attune, we haven't used it in a while, but it works great. And it shows you exactly where you're at and shows you what you need to do next. And yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have any thoughts on Attune or any what they believe is better ways to go about it?
Yeah, just memorize it. Easy. Like, know the entire quest line in your head and the best way to get there.
Or only do it once, and since it's account bound now,
That too.
Yeah, I think that was a big change that a lot of people are overlooking with this. That it's account bound now, so only need to do it once on one of your characters, regardless of Horde or Alliance. Apparently, it will mail over, which is kind of nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
the amount of Horde ults being created right now.
I find the Horde one that, like, while it is easier because you don't have to do the stupid jailbreak stuff, it's not that much shorter. Like it's still a little bit of a slog. I mean, you're obviously already gonna do things like kill Rend, but like that back half where you got to do the 3 dragons and whatnot. I mean,
anything else? Anybody else?
The Wowhead guide's perfect. Well, that's all I use. So I remember I used Attune specifically in TBC because that's when attunements really started to like ramp up for heroics.
That's
and
when I used it the most.
Yeah, Karazhan, Black Temple, all that stuff all required attunement quest lines. So I didn't realize it was actually working in Season Discovery. So that's really nice to know. And it was great back then. I imagine it's just the same now. So highly recommend for anybody.
Yeah, I had someone actually request me to do a guide for that, but I did it like 2 weeks ago on stream. So like I have to like splice a ton to get it there. I'm just gonna level my druid and make it for him that way.
There you go.
This I still haven't found Rexar, so but that's a good idea. Like just run it over there when you're in queue. It's not a bad idea. I might do some AV this weekend. I don't know. See, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get on.
Yeah.
Like, it's horrible.
A little bit's also driven by how much time you have in any given particular moment. So like, oh, I have an hour till dinner. Okay, I can actually run a dungeon. It's like, oh, I only really have a half an hour, so I can do a couple AVs. Like that's something you can squeeze in, something like that.
All right. Well, the next thing is the server-wide racial abilities in Season of Discovery have been discovered. So, does anybody know anything about this? Because it didn't make a ton of sense to me. Like, it seemed like every priest still had to do it. I thought it was like it would unlock for everybody by some sort of event, but I don't really understand this.
I only read the Wowhead article, and my priest wasn't 60, so I didn't really know much. But it sounded like just 2 priests on your server have to do all the steps, and everyone gets it. That was my understanding, at least.
Is that it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. Because it requires like a priest from each side to go all the way into the city, and talk to the right people. from what I understand, on a PvP server, even though they're made friendly with the ring or whatever it is, they're still attackable by anybody in the city. It's just the guards won't attack them. So you'd very much see that still being a giant pain in the ass because somebody sees a red thing, they attack red thing, very monkey brain about it. So apparently it's done though on our server. I just don't know what that means for priests. Like, how do you go get the other ones? Do they just need to talk to their priest trainer and just learnable, or how that actually ends up working? And maybe somebody in the comments can tell us.
Yeah, well, we haven't done it on Crusader Strike yet. It hasn't been unlocked, right?
I thought it had.
I asked the priests in my guild, and they said they don't have them right now and have no idea how to get them. So
yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, I feel like I'm a bad priest right now, but I don't feel like I'm the only one. So
I would imagine it would just become trainable with a priest trainer,
or be
that or
a
the book guy.
Yeah. Maybe it's out of the book guy from, in Thrall's room or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can imagine it being very hard on our server. That's for sure. The amount of kill on site we have. Walking through Org or Stormwind is just going to be nearly impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for the Horde, Shobek's going to be there to stop us at every turn.
Yeah.
Well, is he actually? I don't even know if he's back to Absad. Maybe not.
Last I saw him, he was doing Era.
Yeah, he was doing Era.
It sounds like a lot of invisibility potions are going to be in order to actually complete that. Especially
Are you sure it's just one priest that has to do it, or does every priest have to do it to unlock it?
They said specifically there was a server-wide unlock, so technically 2 priests, one from each faction, need to do it together.
Oh, I guess when they put out the Wowhead article, it said it was only layer-wide, not server-wide, but it was supposed to be server-wide.
Oh, and maybe that's what happened. So,
ooh, sucky.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if you can actually buy the spells or whatever on the correct layer if it's been done.
Interesting. What if that layer closes down?
Yeah. They did it on like layer 3, and layer 3 just never exists again. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know. Write in the comments. Tell us. I don't know. I think after this, we're going to probably see a video from Kaghoe soon.
Yeah.
My priest is parked to that moon well. Hi. That'd be 19 levels before I'd get that done.
All right. Next up, the Hand of Injustice. I actually saw this the other day. I was like just looking at Wowhead, wanting to see what I wanted to save up my my tarnished undermined reels for, and it's basically a Hand of Justice for ranged attacks. I feel like this should have been something where you had to trade in Hodge for it, because why do the hunters just get a ranged Hodge?
Yeah.
And we still have to, even melee hunters still have to go fight everybody for that freaking Hodge. I don't know, a little biased here.
And we see people that are like, oh, let's do Emperor jump runs, Iron Foe and Hodge on hard reserve. It's like, well, that's the only reason people do jump runs, guys. So, like, not going to name names, but there's a couple of people in our guild that do that type of thing. And the hard reserve thing is like a cancer that's spread a little too far, in my opinion, and just SoD in general. Like, I want this one thing, and therefore I will never, ever fight anybody for it. Just seems weird.
They get people to go, though, for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I can see friends doing it for people. But any thoughts on this, Kaghoe?
I think it was good because I saw a lot of complaints on the forums about hunters taking it, and people were mad about that. So I think it was to mediate that, even like, because they should understand why a hunter would want it, whether they're melee or not. Like, the raw attack power and the attack power changes in SoD make it to where hunters, like, it's their third BiS option. I think my guild hunter said that. So
I think it was in 2019 too.
Yeah, like just the attack power makes it worth getting for them, but like the proc's completely useless. So just giving them one that they can go and buy, I think that's fine. I don't really care too much.
Well, in melee weaving hunters, I mean, even ranged melee weaving ones would want Hand of Justice too. So
Yeah, for that super chance.
you know,
Mm.
yeah, but then they'd have to wear both of these because it only does one or the other, right? So interesting to see how that'll work out.
It's 50
Oh, are they-
reels, right? As well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are they
and
unique equipped?
quite a bit.
Did I miss that part of it?
It is unique, but yeah, you can't have two.
Hodge and the Hodge of Injustice? Have
Yeah.
both.
I think you could, because this is Hand of Injustice and the other one's Hand of Justice. So I think you can wear both of these, but you can't have two of just one.
Right. I know the regular one's unique, so that's what I was asking, if you could have both. So, melee weaving hunter's dream, I guess.
To have both of them, probably.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
crazy.
As long as they have the hit and whatnot from the rest of their gear, which it seems like the tier 0.5 is giving so much hit that no one's even remotely worried about that right now.
Well,
Especially with the ring runes.
Yeah, the ring runes make that so easy to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, and also, if they're melee weaving, they'll most likely be using a two-hander, from what I understand. So they'd only need the base, the yellow cap hit instead of nobody really gets to the actual dual wield hit cap, which is like 24 or 26% miss chance.
Yeah, it's something insanely high. Yeah.
But it's still.
You might now.
Well, it's always nice gearing wise on both a Fury Warrior or a Rogue, just because you're like, well, hit is, it isn't great, but it does improve me a bit. Whereas anybody who just needs to hit that one cap does not want to go over that cap because they're just wasting stats. So. All right, well,
Yeah, for Rogue, it was like you needed 9%, and then everything more than that just always still helped, even though it was less than the original 9.
Yeah, casters are a big feel bad if you go over it. You're like, I don't know what I want to do. They give us, mages literally just get 12% hit because the talent's in the ring, so we're set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the big thing a lot of people don't understand is you do want that 5 weapon skill. Yes, it does count as 3% hit, but it counts as much more than that for glancing blows. You will always have glancing blows. You can't get rid of them, but you can get rid of how much damage it removes from you. So, I don't know. I know that it's 8. Once you go past 8 weapon skill, you're not getting anything but hit past that. But that gives you all of what you get taken off of glancing blows. So that was a horrible explanation, but that's how it works.
I remember in 2019, on my Rogue, I had the Kari Warblades out of ZG because I just never got a better main hand sword. So I was using those for a while. My weight damage as a human rogue with the +5 and I think it was another +6 was bananas. Like, obviously my Sinister Strike damage was something to be desired because I think that main hand was only like a 2.0 speed, but I don't think I ever missed with my actual weight damage. It was just going. So it was always nice to see.
So yeah, the glancing blows take 40% off of the white hit, but you get that 8, and I think it goes down to 8% or 10% off. So you're gaining all that damage back. So it's just a huge thing. It's the only way you can get that damage back. So
right,
it's just a very confusing thing that I had to, take a college course on to understand.
I don't think anybody fully understands it as much as they like to pretend to, as well.
I do, but it's because of hours and hours and hours of reading and watching videos to try and wrap my brain around it. Yeah, because my DPS went up switching from the axe, the big axe from Ani. I switched to the tank sword that you get from also Ani, from her breathing on it. Like you get the tome from
Kelsarar,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was a significantly not as good weapon and was faster and everything. I did way more damage with that than I did with the axe as a human warrior. So it's until I got my Edge Masters that I switched back to the axe, but I had to farm for like 2 weeks to do that.
Weapon skill also does count for a very small amount of crit, which I think a lot of people always look over. I think it's like 0.04% crit per weapon skill on an evenly level target.
I thought it didn't go higher, because that is true. Like you'll see your crit go up as your weapon skill goes up. You know, like you'll see your crit with a full weapon skill on swords, but then you switch to a mace where you only have 100. Your crit goes down significantly. I just don't know if you get more crit going higher. I don't know if that's a thing.
I mean, you absolutely do. Think about every time you swing on a critter, it's almost like 100% crit every time you do, right? Like,
yeah, but that's I mean, I don't know that you get more crit on a boss by having that +5 or that +8. I don't know that that's true.
I would imagine it scales the same way that anything else does. Again, I don't know the exact math behind it, but I know attacking low level targets, your crit is way higher against them. I have to imagine that is because of weapon skill versus their defense.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know. Answer the comments. All right. The next thing is we had the changes that just popped through into Classic Era on accident, I guess, or I feel like it was a whoops, but I don't know. I don't think they've said specifically it was a whoops, but the blue post came a day later after the changes happened, and so it's just like, okay. I don't know, but they did revert them back. So the druids using polearms, the Stormwind buff for Alliance, Might of Stormwind, and is that the only two that they released or that they changed back?
I think so. There might have been one other small thing, but those two sound like it.
Yeah, they kept the like 1 minute cooldown for Rallying Cry of the Dragon Slayer and War Chief's Blessing. But there were a lot of people upset about this. I think I've said that, they basically said there was going to be no changes after Era went live. They made the change for the honor system and nobody really said anything. But people freaked out about this change and they took it back. I think that's a good thing. What's everybody else think?
I think all the changes were overall super, super minor and don't really affect many people. Like, not many people are still playing Era. It's just like the rise of it to play the DV Delight server. And the people that do play it religiously still definitely have the summon bots set up under Orgrimmar. They have their priest to MC. The people who want War Chief's Blessing are going to get it every single raid, I feel like. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just a huge quality of life for all the other people on the lines to just casually get that War Chief's Blessing for them, I guess, Might of Stormwind, whatever you want to call it. And I think they're more upset that there were changes implemented without, like, out of the blue. They didn't even talk about it. They just sent them. And I think that scares a lot of those players because they want WoW to stay what it was. And when they did make the Era servers with TBC, Blizzard did promise exactly that they would stay there. So I think the rage comes from them breaking their promise to the players more than what the changes actually were.
Yeah, I heard a lot of arguments from Horde people. Didn't hear any arguments from Alliance people about the Might of Stormwind, but Horde people were making the case that the Horde people that I heard were making the case. I think it was on Countdown to Classic. They were making the case that that Horde already was the worst faction in Classic with no changes. And that was their only thing that they had reasoning for playing Horde. And now the Alliance have it too. And I think that's what they were upset about. But I didn't hear any Alliance people complaining about it. So I don't know. And the Druid's using polearms. I don't even know how that feels like a non-change. It's just maybe they could use them working up or something, leveling.
There's a few.
You can
go ahead.
I was just gonna say none of them have like the Druid attack power on it in original Classic, so it's like so super niche. Like I don't think they're ever gonna swap it for their Pummeler, and no one even really plays Feral Druid except for like 5 people. So it is such a minor change overall.
I know there were some polearms that would be good for Feral just because I had a bunch of strength and agi on them randomly, just like because of the attack speed or whatever. Warrior would just never ever use them. So I could see why certain Ferals would be interested in certain ones, but again, Pummeler reigns king in Classic, so it's completely non-issue.
Oh, and I need to correct something. They did also revert the 1 minute Audi and Neff cooldown, so it's back to the 6-hour wait.
Yeah, that sounds like something they'd love.
Yeah, well, that's per layer though, isn't it? Still,
no, it's all cross Slayer. They made that change prior to not right around the time the Chrono Boon came in, I believe, but it was before Era started that you were able to get it on multiple layers because that sucked before. But I guess their reasoning for wanting the long cooldown is that they communicate and know when it's going to drop easier. So I don't know. I'm just using all of their because I don't play Era and I don't know, but they did say the only change that they all agreed they would really want on the show on Countdown to Classic. They all agreed they would really love to be able to do to be able to loot ahead and still turn in, after they've already done it once, because they just have to keep making alts to drop this buff. And they were worried with the no wait time, people would just be dropping them willy-nilly and then becoming harder and harder for them to get the buffs. So I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't played Era at all. My characters, I didn't copy them when it went to the next one, so I don't really.
I wish I did too, because I had a mostly Nax geared rogue that would be fun to go in and have fun every once in a while with, but too late.
I've got my BiS'd out warrior still there, but I just log in to show people how much I proc my my flask healing set for. They're like, holy crap. Ticks for a lot.
And I never got Gressel, so it would have been nice to get that at some point.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Every single piece is BiS except for the 2 swords. I never got the 2 swords. I was in a DKP guild and spent my DKP wrong. All right, well.
They didn't change back the guild UI, though, did they?
No, and that sucks.
People are using the weak aura.
Yeah, I was about to say there's a weak aura that'll change it back for you.
It is very weird.
Yeah, but people were very angry about that. Overly angry, I feel like.
It threw me off for sure. I was completely surprised, but
I just thought that I got kicked from the guild, and then I was watching messages pop up. I'm like, well, I'm not, but what's going on?
I was like, I was a raid leader. They kicked me. What happened? Oh, man. Okay, so the next piece. Hunter Trap Launcher no longer applies to Frost Trap. So you can no longer launch Frost Trap. This is a good change, although, I mean, you can still use it, though, and the 5-second root is egregious. I mean, it's freaking powerful as hell, so... Yeah, I think it was a good change, but maybe just a change to how long you get rooted for would have been a better idea. Because now that you could actually because now you can only get that by going down and getting the talent for it, but there's a lot more survival hunters now because it's a viable spec. So, what do you guys think of this change?
Just as bad as just having 5 hunters all do an explosive trap and all proccing for 1,500 initial damage on whoever, and they're just dead. Like, but I mean, the slow, especially with the Blackrock Mountain event, and like there being a ton of tight little corridors you got to get around and fight on, and like the chain and right around the Blackrock Spire entrance, like all that just being ice forever during the event is like, how do you play in the game? Like, Blizzard was very spot on with their decision, saying that people had more mobility when this was originally implemented. We just decided to steal it from whatever expansion that got implemented in. Nobody has the mobility to deal with that, so just 5 hunters can lock down an entire area by themselves. And I mean, imagine that, like I said before, in AV, where the bridge is now inaccessible. Too bad, so sad, because we just iced it up, for basically free.
Yeah. What do you think, Kaghoe?
Yeah, just massive amounts. The trap is great, and they've had it since I think phase 1 or phase 2, and it's been fine. They've even invented new farms using it, like Oldemon boost and soloing that instance, and that's all ruined now. I think it's more of a player behavior abusing like entrapment with it that has caused this problem more than it being allowed. And so all the hunters that think it's a DPS loss because it won't proc your lock and load anymore, you can still shoot your freezing trap and it'll proc it the same. So it's not a DPS loss. It's just a quality of life change for everyone that's not a hunter. And seeing all of BRM get iced, like the entire mountain just being iced that first week was just crazy. And if you didn't have a FAP, you were just screwed.
I was wondering why people were freezing trapping so often in my dungeon. So it does proc lock and load with that using as well.
Yeah,
but they made a change.
Why are you guys doing this?
Yeah, they did make a change that I saw a while back, and I guessed that it was so you didn't have to flip flop frost trap and the explosion trap. I forget which one it is. So it looked like you could just from that point on, from that change a few weeks ago, just use the fire trap, and that's why you stopped seeing the frost traps everywhere, I think. But I could be wrong about that. I haven't played ranged hunter, but I think that was why they reduced the cooldown on the traps. But I'm curious if you still have, because it says it does not work. Trap launcher no longer works with frost trap, which would also mean that you cannot use your traps in battle. Correct.
They still can. They just can't launch it, so they can manually set down the freezing trap. They can do they can't shoot it like they shot all the others.
Okay, so it's not like, because like it would probably be better if they had to feign death and do it the old-fashioned way. But I don't know.
Yeah, that if not being able to launch explosives where all the damage is. So not being able to launch that would be a severe problem, or use it in combat.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you, in PvP, Frost Trap is OP in a big group setting, but whenever I fight two people as a hunter, like in the open world, I'm dual wielding and I'm doing melee, but I still can shoot pretty good. But then 2 people come at me, boom, I'm going to freezing trap the one and fight the other, and they're not going to be able to do anything about it. I mean, they can trinket once, but it's such a long CC. So
yeah, it's 18 seconds, something like that in PvP.
I think it's even longer, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So makes it like an even better sheep because it's instacast like that in some ways.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're a bad shot, and you got to put it in front of them, guys. The direction they're running.
Yeah.
I've put them behind them so many times on accident. It's the worst.
I mean, that's got to be the best single target CC in the game then currently, just because you can instacast do it on something. And there's a reason that we were using it in Sunken Temple on the council fight, right? Not only just because other stuff wasn't effective, but it was instant. Like, we have one hunter more or less change CC like a couple of things between the frost and the freezing traps.
Yep. Well, I think it was a good change. I still think I think the biggest problem is still in the game, though. If it's just slowed you, it'd be one thing, but the 5-second route, just like Kaghoe was saying too, I think is really where the problem lies. But I don't know that they can fix that. I'm not sure. All right.
Yeah, I hope they're doing, I guess, more to make the PvE hunters happy. Like, I feel like this was a quick band-aid fix to help with the new stuff launching, and I hope they do some more in-depth thing that makes the PvE hunters happy as well. Because I don't know enough to say what that could be, but I know the hunters are still mad about it.
I mean,
Well,
in
I'm a
every
melee
dungeon
hunter
group
and
I've
I'm
been in-
mad.
Every dungeon group I've been in, hunters are doing just fine on the damage meter. So, I mean, at least on AoE pulls.
Yeah, I think they're mad about like solo Oldemon farming with it and stuff like that.
Mm.
Yeah, because they can't solo farm the higher level dungeons because I guess the mob warping is in the game.
Yeah, after 60 seconds, you can't slow them anymore.
Yeah, like that was the change in what Psalm, and it just kind of leaked over to here, which
Yeah.
Frosta Adamus was not very happy about because he was having a great time finding all the different, dungeon farms you could do with it, which looks pretty neat. All right, next thing is Drained Blood Aura active during Blackrock Eruption event. For anybody that doesn't know what this is the same little buff that came into STV that made it, playable. When you res, you have a, 10-second timer or something where you run it like super speed, and you are invulnerable and invisible during that time. So getting in the mountain should be a lot easier. I went recently just to see how it worked, but there was nobody killing people in the mountain after the change. So it was also not during the event time either. So I didn't get to actually test it out, but this is a great change. And I think everybody can agree. I don't know.
It just makes your ghost faster too, which is great. So
Does
you
it
only
do that too?
Yeah, your ghost is the same speed as an STV, so it's very, very good all around. So if you're just trying to get into Blackrock Spire, get wherever, at the most you have to corp walks like once instead of like 8 times, just because you're getting camped all along the way. So huge change. You still will die that first time in there. People will still get their honor for their first kill on you, but from there on in, you should be pretty free to get into your dungeon. The other big change of this was when you're exiting a dungeon, you also get that Drain of Blood buff so that you can effectively reset your dungeons without fear of just immediately getting slaughtered and 5-minute walk back and this, that, and the other. So
that's awesome.
Good. Any other thoughts?
No, this is pretty much perfect. I think it should have been in from the beginning. Like, I don't know what issue they had, but I hate to see them learn this mistake in STV at Phase 2 launch and then not bring it forward when you have a similar event.
So they put in the STV event the ability to opt out, right? So you're still in danger of the opposite faction in STV, but like you're not in danger of your own faction at the very least. That's obviously never going to be the case in Blackrock Mountain, but regardless, if whatever faction just owns the chain in Blackrock Spire, they own it all, right? They will get wiped.
Yep, and I've seen a lot of content creators, friends of mine too, and it's I don't think it's their fault, but they've pointed out even on my server, they're like, Sand was trying to tell me that Horde owns the mountain at all times in all areas, and I'm like, well, I know for a fact that hasn't been the case a lot of the times that I've gone. I think it goes by layers, guys. I think people are getting on a Horde layer, and then they're getting the people that don't get on the Alliance layer, and vice versa. Because I've seen it both ways. The entrance was controlled by Alliance sometimes, and by Horde sometimes. So I think everybody just has their own bias because that's what I think. But
and also it's just sometimes there'll be like 2 groups queuing up to do an Ubers, right? 20 people abouts is plenty to hold that area, especially if they're the right classes. And then once they're summoning their guys and don't see any more alliance, they go inside, and then maybe alliance runs up next and then takes control over for a little bit. So I think there is a little bit of just swapping that happens, unless it's truly like 6 o'clock at night and everyone's on and they're just fighting for the honor.
What have you seen, Kaghoe? Like when you've went down, have you seen both both clans and
Oh, we started having a lot of horde dominance, but definitely as of late, it's been way more alliance killing us. It feels like I don't think I've gone there, and we've had the mountain as of late. I like to think the horde just zugs it, and the alliance gets destroyed, and then they come back and organize and talk about it, and like come up with a plan.
Yes.
Yeah, the metas constantly change. I remember in AV for a short time, for like a week and a half, Alliance figured out they could stop the horde at mid and then do a 20 to 25-minute game where we just pushed the horde back, took every single tower, kept every single one of our towers, and just took every bit of honor from them for like a week and a half. It was like a whole movement on the alliance side for a short time, and then horde went back to some other different thing and started winning more again. But it's great. Yeah, so any other thoughts, Mel? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it'll reduce the corpse run, so that's cool. I'm all down. I agree, it should have been done from the beginning. I feel like they should have seen this one coming, but it's all right. They fixed it.
They at the very least had the forethought of adding the healer in the middle rather than having to run from 30 on point every time. So that was already there. They had the forethought of that one, but yeah, adding the drained blood was definitely necessary too.
One other change I didn't put in the notes, but it's in this write up for this note. But the mages now conjure rank 7 water, and they get 20 per cast.
Yeah, we do.
It's a good change, but when warlocks get a closet, don't you feel like you should get a table?
Yeah, that'd be pretty nice. I think we should also make 20 cinnamon rolls. We only make 10 right now, so that'd be pretty cool too.
How much mana is that water?
1,000.
No, I mean how much is it?
How much does it give you? I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, sorry, 4.2k. 4.2k.
Okay, so
I
I'm
would
still
like
going
to
to
be
use this
better.
Stratham Holy Water then, actually.
Yeah, holy water and Durin is way better.
Yeah.
I use that more than my own water.
So.
I feel like they should buff it to be like 5k, 5.2k, just to, especially since you got to do a quest to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and that's the one you got to go kill the elemental in Dire Maul East, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I've been asking for them to buff food since phase 1, because like we just have so much more stamina than we used to, and I don't want to eat 3 or 4 times. You know, even the Durham. Which, why do I have to get that stupid debuff every time? I think someone's putting dots on me every time it procs.
I know. I really wish I wasn't green.
But yeah,
the amount of times I've just automatically put an abolished poison on myself because I got it. Just like, oh yeah, it's just a stupid buff.
Oh, but yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, it's the food just needs to be buffed. If I'm gonna have to eat 2 or 3 times, like,
I just feel like mage water should be the best water, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or at least somewhat comparable to the other waters that you can get.
Yeah, right now it's 1,000 less or 2,000 less than Durin and the holy water, and it's just like it feels bad to use it, especially since we have so much more int. And even for mage specifically, something even more terrible is that they took away all our spirit because of Balefire Bolt. So like we have no MP5. Evocation gives me half my mana bar instead of all of it.
Oh wow!
It's mages feel so bad.
Yeah. Self-innervate also sucks right now. All my spirit is gone from all my pieces as a boomy. So my innervate does almost nothing to me. So like I just basically save it for priest because it actually gives them a full mana bar because they have spirit. So
it's a good. I think you should always
wait. Should be priest. There.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about just in dungeons and just when I'm soloing. Like my innervate just feels bad. You know. In dungeons, I found that most healers are usually just fine, just using whatever their own mana restorative things are for the
Yeah.
Obviously we want to top off mana right before a boss pull, just in case, especially if it's like a difficult one. But between the priest have, the Shadow Fiend, and
Dispersion.
the other one, Dispersion. Yeah, like you guys, like I almost never needed to actually do it, so I just use it with
The
myself.
dungeon fights aren't long enough.
Yeah,
Like it's more of a convenience thing, I guess. In a dungeon, like, hey, we just did a boss and we want to pull this next trash back. Like, I'll innervate you.
Yeah.
That's usually when it happens for me. But
or if we like really overpull and we're in the middle of some like epic fight, then I'll throw it on. But
Well, yeah, I just wish the jungle durian was something you kept in your bags when you couldn't get mage water.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it is quite expensive. I mean, 20.
The Stratham
food.
Holy Water, great. So the jungle durian, I'm basically never gonna buy again. I don't think, even though it counts as food too, because the Stratham Holy Water is way easier to get and way cheaper. And
where do you get it?
So if you are honored with Argent Dawn, just getting the holy water out of Stratham, you turn in 1, it'll give you 10, 6,200 or 6,400 water.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. So it's basically the same as the jungle durian. It just doesn't give you the food part of it. It's just the water part of it.
I don't need the food part.
The holy water is also tradable, so as long as you have that honored AD, you can just buy it off the AH.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay.
Correct.
It's probably really expensive though, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished the quest, so mine still says soulbound. Maybe it changes after I finish the quest or once I hit honor.
The holy water itself is soulbound. When you trade it in for the Stratham Holy Water drinkable, it's called drinkable holy water or something like that. You have to actually go to the quartermaster.
So that's what changes it from a undead DPS tool. Okay.
Correct.
Cool. I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Very, very good water. Yeah. And 6,400 mana is, full bar of anybody currently in the game. And I'm sure like by the end of season discovery, people are gonna have like 12k mana or something, but like
all right. And then I had the account wide on Onyxia attunement, but we did cover that because of one of the voicemails, so we can just skip by that. And then the last thing here in the news is the world bosses went live, and lots of people have lots of opinions about them being too easy. But like you can wipe on them if you don't know the mechanics, but they are, in my opinion, a little easy. But it makes sense because they used to be in the world, and you had to, you had to fight off all the other people trying to do the boss too, or on PvP servers. So it kind of makes sense. But they're definitely, from someone who had never done anything but kill Zeragos like 3 times in 2005, they were a little underwhelming for me, if I'm being honest. Like we one-shot them with a bad group.
Kazakh could be griefed even if you weren't on a PvP server, just because somebody could just come up and die to him and heal him a whole shit ton, right? Like, there was, even being on a PvE server, like Kazakh had to be burstable. Obviously, that's no longer an issue right now, so it's keeping the same mechanics with people just being better at the game and whatnot. He's just tank and smack. I mean, it took like probably 3 or 4 minutes to kill him, but I wouldn't say
it was a long time.
It wasn't really hard, and our particular group had like 9 shamans, so everyone was full mana the entire fight. So it's like not even close. So like
we did have a ton of shamans and a ton of druids.
And then Azure Ghosts, I wouldn't say he's hard. Once you get down the timing of when he does spell reflect, I definitely almost one-shot myself with Starfires here and there. But like once I had it down, I just stopped casting it like my rotation at that point, and then it was fine. So from what I understand, you can still AoE during the spell reflect. You just can't directly cast a spell on him. And then once people get that internal clock, both of them are going to be walkable.
Alrighty.
Yeah, they were pretty easy for us. I had never done a Zergos. I had done Kazakh in Classic 2019, but it was very very surprising how easy they were. Like I thought Kha'Zix would just be more intense, more difficult, but they kind of just gave him a ton of health and made him do more damage. Now Zergos took us 7 minutes because we did not know about the spell reflect. A few casters reflected themselves to death. I hot streaked myself and I had like 200 HP with ignite ticking on me.
Oh,
so that was not, that was not very good. Definitely terrifying, but we learned a lot and I think we'll go back at it and get it done quicker. But I took like our full main MC raid team, full world buffs, consumes, went into them, and they were really, really easy. We had, I guess, 3 deaths total across both of them, and one of them was a shaman pumping too hard, and then just 2 casters reflecting themselves.
So he does a little sparks on himself when he's reflecting. It's like kind of hard to see if you're not specifically looking for it, but there is a visual cue. You don't need to have the mage detect magic on it to know it's there.
Yeah, I learned that at the very end. I started noticing he started to shimmer and his health changed, and I was like, oh, that's good to know for next time.
And it is like a very specific timing. It is every 20 seconds or something along those lines. So I found out like at a certain point in my rotation when it was happening. So I was like, I'm about to start cast Starfire, but I'm not, because it'll be up like the second that it lands and I'm gonna one shot myself. So especially with world buffs, I will absolutely hit a 5k Starfire and reflect back on myself and boop, dead. No healing through that.
What if the reflect works on poisons too?
I can't imagine it would.
I don't know.
Probably not, but I don't know.
I didn't even know about that mechanic as a melee DPS, because we're just the dumb guys. And I stand on the butt. I stand on the butt.
Because I think with poisons, they're coded in some weird way where it's like, while it counts as your damage, it's not you casting it, it's your weapon casting it. And that's why your weapon needs to hit for it to apply.
It'd be hilarious if it did damage to your weapons, and all of a sudden you're just like, "Where'd my weapons go?"
Yeah, your weapons just break.
like the Hunter cast call on Neff. It's just like, shit, it just broke.
I also read that if you hit him with any spell, it lessens the time of the reflect. So we were strategizing to maybe hit him with like rank 1 scorches and just rank 1 terrible spells. So you're hitting yourself, but you're not going to do too much damage. But I'm not too sure if that's accurate.
What was the thing I was kicking? Because halfway through the fight, I was told to kick Azurgos, and then I just started kicking him.
His Blizzard thing.
Okay.
So it doesn't have a cast bar. I think like back in the day, people didn't know that it was actually a cast that he was channeling during the fight.
I see a cast bar, but it's with classic cast bar or whatever.
I have that and it was never showing for me. So I don't know.
He's real tall. You have to be really zoomed out or be looking up. That's the problem with the cast bar. I'm actually getting, because of the tall bosses, I'm actually getting ready to switch it back to where I see the cast bar on the enemy nameplate, because it's becoming, the bosses are going to be a lot bigger now, and I'm not going to be able to see that stupid classic cast bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we had basically no blizzards during the entire fight because kicks were happening. Range didn't have to move. What is annoying is that all those woodland creatures that are frozen makes it.
We had to kill a few of those as they got knocked out. Yeah, we didn't pull them in the best spot. I guess you could wait and pull them in a good spot, but they didn't seem too hard. We just swapped over to them and blasted them.
They're not in, because he's neutral. You can probably just clear out a little area and then pull them instead of just waiting for my Starfall to clear it, because they will.
We think there's a problem with it being easy. I feel like it's not a problem that it's easy.
I don't have a problem with it.
I feel like it's a single boss. Like, how many people do you take? I haven't done it yet.
20.
You can take 20, but you can take up to 40 if you want to.
Do you get more loot if you take 40?
Nope.
No.
Same loot, that's the problem, same difficulty. So it can be really easy if you take 40.
Yeah. I just feel like it should be pluggable, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
He only drops 2 pieces, so you can bring up to 40 if you want, but only 2 people are getting anything. If he even drops something worth wanting, like Typhoon or something, sucks. So
Yeah, the loot was definitely our loot drops were lackluster for sure. It was like, oh, okay, cool. Did we get a reel for it? I didn't even notice. Do we get reels for
No.
raid bosses? No.
yeah,
No,
I didn't even
sure
check.
don't. I
think.
looked. I looked. Definitely not. I know Sarth and some of like the higher end guilds, they're doing 10-man splits for Zergos and Kha'Zix just to get as much loot as possible, which those are interesting.
See, and I think if you want to do something like that, you can, right? Like, but I like it being easy enough to pug because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to set them up every week and have to run them every week as the leader.
Yeah.
Like, and now I don't really have to do that.
Just having a world boss channel where people can just throw one up for whenever and see who signs up and pugging the rest is perfectly reasonable for this, I think. I think like between these two and Ani, like you just want to be done in less than an hour, right? Like no one's trying to do a full raid night for something that's going to reset twice a week.
Yep. All right, well, I think, yeah. If you guys have a problem with it, you could let us know. But I find usually the people asking for the harder content are creators that are in really good guilds. And, you know, I tell you, I've run with really good teams and stuff falls down a lot differently than it does in normal groups. And I think a lot of people end up just doing those raids and forgetting how unsmooth most raids go. Like,
definitely been there. Like it took me a while to realize how, I guess, casual or how most guilds operate with getting stuff down. Because I've always been on like semi-hardcore, the higher end, where people like come with everything ready to blast. And when I realized that wasn't how most people play the game, I was pretty shocked.
Yeah.
And
there were people that were struggling to get Aranicus and Hakar down up until the last few weeks of P3. Like, I would say a decent amount, a lot more than you would think. We're still frogging ST, where for us, I mean, we were walking through it after like week 2 or 3, right? So,
well, and even us walking through it, there's many times where I have to be like, guys, Fairy Fire, guys, we need armor pen on the boss, guys, like, where's Curse of Wreck? You know, and I have to watch these with a weak aura, and it's just weird to me because, you know, that should be your first global is the debuff, you know, and people just either don't know that or they don't understand how important it is. And, you know, it's just weird. So, yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot to this game that the majority of people do not know about or even have, like, even understand how it works. So I think this is just fine. And you guys can make it as hard or as easy as you want. Speed run it, whatever. Like, I think this is fine.
And there's a larger than we probably realize UN population that isn't even at 60 yet.
Oh,
nonetheless,
the majority of people, like, I'm guessing, are not 60 yet.
Yeah, nonetheless, like most of us are into, or at least like most of the way through our 0.5 quest line. You know,
I wish I was.
Something that only the sweaties do, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I've also been working at my hunter. I probably should just be working on my rogue, but if Mel's not on, I feel like, well, I'm gonna have to redo this anyway. If you know, so it's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. I've been going around still getting all my different ring runes, which are all over the place, and yeah. I still haven't figured out how to get my new poisons. If anybody wants to tell me how to do that, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, you just buy them.
Oh, you don't have to unlock them in any way?
No, you go to the guy in Thrall's room. It's the same place you buy some of the other stuff, like you enter Thrall's building and that guy right to the left.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yep. Oh, it's the same guy that starts the 0.5 quest?
No, it's the room before that.
Oh, okay. Oh, where you get the books. I swear I went there and didn't see him.
They were all there for what last time I looked, and I haven't looked in a while because druids don't need anything from him. But yeah, like Sebaceous Poison and all that stuff was all on him.
You know what I bet? I bet I didn't see it because I bet I went before 60, and I bet it requires level 60. Okay.
They do require, so they were probably all red to you.
They're probably red, and I just didn't even bother hovering over it. That's exactly probably what happened.
Yep, Occult Poison, Sebaceous Poison, all that stuff was on him last I looked. So,
do we know? Chad's asking, do we know what the smallest group that has cleared it yet? I don't know. I'd guess 10. I guess that's probably what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's a well-rounded group that can get the buffs that you need, I guess.
Yeah, and enough shamans to keep mana going.
But that's a guess. That's, yeah, I don't think any of us actually have heard of anything below 10. But
I mean, with our group, I don't think anybody dropped below like 90% mana the entire fight. And I don't think anybody had to use a Dark Rune or a potion just because of rolling shamanistic rages. So like that fight could have been 10 minutes as far as we're concerned. Like it would have been fine. So
all right, well, as soon as Kaghoe gets back here, we're gonna just we're gonna move on to the very last thing, and he's gotta go pretty quick, so we're gonna go through it pretty fast. So let's move into it.
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right, so this is just a little overview of like how to get the 0.5 quest line. Maybe a little talk about, is it too hard? Is it too easy? Or is it, I mean, I don't think anybody said it's too easy. Is it too long? Like, but Kaghoe, do you just want to kind of take us through a quick like overview of the steps? Or I don't know if that's even a thing that you could say quick or whatever.
So essentially, it's I guess one of the most epic quest lines that they've ever put in. It is. It took me about 45 minutes with editing to walk everyone through every single step of that video. So largely, essentially, you go and get what's called your tier 0 pieces from the in-game dungeons. 3 of them are BOE, so you can just buy them, but the other 5 are dropped from bosses. And it's essentially going through the process of getting all those pieces and then upgrading every single one of those. And you have to go through, spend about 50 hours, and 500 gold is my estimate of what I tell people it takes in game, actually going and grinding there with the bad RNG in the game of buying the pieces with reels. That helps a lot towards that. So you might not take as long to get all the gear, but it also, they buff that gear to be some of the best gear pre-BiS, at least for most classes. There's some pieces you want. Some pieces, like for Mage example, we use the helm all through MC, and we can use our boots or our bracers as well. It interchanges, but it's phase BiS gear. So 50 hours, 500 gold for pretty much pre-BiS or phase BiS pieces. I think that's definitely worth doing, and it's such an epic quest line that really most people probably haven't done either, because it normally comes out at AQ, which was phase 5 in original classic, and by then you have ZG gear, you have BWL gear that just completely eclipses it. So it was a really fun quest line to go out there and do, for me at least, and I enjoyed it a lot.
From what I've heard, it was only really a thing that rogues did if they wanted to go daggers, from what I've heard. I don't know. I did do it back in 2005 on my rogue for no real reason, just because it came out and we wanted to do it, you know. And back then we just played to play. So like, it was just kind of a little fun thing.
Basically, only rogues used to do it. Also, a lot of the items weren't itemized to be specifically good for any one particular spec. Like, druid gear was notoriously jack of all trades for almost no reason. I gave you like strength and agility, and then like a little bit of mana regen and like spell power, and it was like really bad at any one given thing. Like, I don't know what they thought when they were itemizing that druid gear back then, but
it sucks because it looks so cool.
Yeah, with the revamp and SoD, they did make it. There's a kitty piece, there's a bear piece, there's a boomy piece, and there's a resto piece, or resto version of every single one of them, which is great. I think that was a really smart thing that they did with this as well. So like it is worth doing almost no matter what you're trying to do with your class. It also brings you all over the world. It gives you a reason to do dungeons over again. It gives you a reason to do stuff with your guild. I think it's all around a really good idea. And not for nothing, it being a gold sink, I think is good for the economy of WoW instead of people just hoarding shitloads of gold coming up into the raids. Because what would other people be doing right now? They'd be hoarding their gold. They would be farming the shit out of certain things, and the economy would be in absolute shambles come Molten Core. I think giving people things to do is always a good thing, and giving people a reason to spend their gold is always a good thing too.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done it all yet, so I don't have a good opinion. The first quest was a little annoying at the drop rate, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure I'm in for pulling out my hair because it seems like there's some bottlenecks that people are not happy about. So,
without a doubt, the world parts of the quest are the worst. The ectoplasms, the blood kelps, anything that you have to farm, anything like the ogre war beads could have been worse, but at least you could do that in a dungeon. And same with the bracers; those are all dungeonable. But
I wonder if
anything
that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, anything in the world was just bad, especially when PvP gets involved in it, because Alliance can just come and take over your layer, and well, you're not doing the quest unless you get layered, and like if there's only happens to be one layer at the time, you're just fucked and you can't do it. So
I wonder if the item you get to do the ectoplasm, I wonder if that's still broke. Remember in Classic, I found out that it could just pull the threat through the roof.
It is.
Is it broke still? They put it back in broke. I wondered
even
about that.
If you layer as well, your ectoplasm goes away, and it's because it takes goblin rocket fuel, which is like 10 gold per right now.
Right.
So biggest tips that you're coming up for: the ectoplasm is a terrible quest, and you're going to hate life. But if you get through it, you'll be fine. Definitely make your own rocket fuel, or find an engineer to make it. And the blood kelp, there are actually baskets of blood kelp that are around the island that you can right click to loot instead of having to kill all the naga. So definitely make sure you do that as well.
So where I did the blood kelp was in the jail in the basement, which I believe is to the left if at the fork. There is 3 blood kelp spawns downstairs. One is in either jail. And also one, and a lot of people don't know this and they miss it, is actually at the bottom of the water between the places that you swim to each sides of the jail cells. So a lot of people were like, oh, it's like a 15, 20 minute spawn. It's not. It's a 5-minute spawn, and it can spawn down there. And some people were grabbing it and not telling anybody that it was spawning down there because they were getting it themselves. So if you have the area to yourself, check inside of each jail cell the things that you have to click to open it up, and the bottom of the water itself to swim between each spot.
Okay.
That will maximize your yield on the blood kelp.
Well, I'd plan to talk about this a little bit longer, but we've unfortunately run out of time, guys. So unless anybody has anything last to say, I'm going to start closing us out. I'll take that silence as a no. All right, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you would like to email us, it's wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Discord or help us out on Patreon or any of those things, go to warcraftreloaded.com. If you're buying a Rested XP guide, warcraftreloaded.com/restedxp. And yeah, if you can help us out by leaving comments on the YouTube, likes, you can and help us out by leaving podcast reviews on iTunes, stars on Spotify, and that's the best way. The best way to help us out is tell your guild about us, tell everybody about us, say it in every Discord, and help us keep growing. And yeah, with that, Killnine, where can we find you?
I currently do not have any socials that I run actively, so nowhere.
All right. And
You can find me on Bob's stream when we are raiding. That is where you can find me.
all right, cool. And Mel, where can we find you?
That's pretty much it as well. I'm not very popular. I don't do things.
All right, and Kaghoe, where can we find you?
You can find me primarily on YouTube. I upload Season of Discovery videos every day at Kaghoe Gaming. Sometimes when Phase launches, I do like 3 or 4 a day. It just really depends on what I'm feeling. But usually around noon Eastern time is when the main video goes out. After that, it's whenever I get it done and whatever comes into my head. Then usually I'm streaming. As of now, I've been streaming lately at twitch.tv/Kaghoe Gaming, so you can stop by there and you can pretty much ask me any question about the game and I'll answer it for you.
Awesome. And that's, guys, that's Kaghoe, just to let you know. And the link will be in the description as well. And you can find me on Twitter at blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me and this show live on Twitch. And that'll do it. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.